Coming at you here, looking at all those Eggman robots. This is the Cyberspace Chronicles, where we talk about everything Sonic, from video games, TV shows, movies, and comic books. I am your host, Mike.
And I'm Sean.
And today we are talking about Sonic Heroes.
Sonic Heroes.
All right, so today we're going to start talking. We're going to start our Sonic Heroes journey, and we played the first chunk of the game.
Yep, 30% on the
So we really got to
Slack screen.
We really got to pad this recording out because we didn't play the whole game yet.
Right.
How did you feel about the game? Well, actually, so a little behind the scenes, we kind of screwed up our first couple recordings.
Times.
So let's kind of recap what we talked about last time. So again,
So basically, we were just saying that just for some housekeeping, I could not play Sonic Heroes in Japanese because there's no Japanese audio on the GameCube version for some reason. That's only on the PS2 version, and I assume the PC version.
which is good because we can talk about the American cast because I got things to say about them.
Yeah, for sure.
Or English cast, I should say.
And I do think that I remember reading this somewhere. I don't think the translation stuff was as much of an issue. Well, this game barely has a story.
No,
let's be real. So.
And let's we're gonna get into it, but a lot of times the story is kind of forced to make certain plot beats happen.
Exactly. So I guess we don't have to worry about that too much. But I think what makes the most sense is we'll probably end up just talking about the characters first. Does that sound good?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, I kind of did it where. So it was funny. You talked to me last week, and you were like, you started playing the game before me, and you were like, I started doing it in a way where I played a level with a team, and then I would switch to the next team.
I played every level with all 4 teams in a row
before moving on. And I was like, that's crazy. And then I started playing, and then I was like, that kind of makes sense though. So I did the same thing. Because if we're doing this by a level, it kind of made sense to just play with all the teams, and then you really get a feel for that stage. Yeah.
I also feel like it helped me, and we can talk about this later. It helped me with the special stages a little bit too, because I knew the levels.
Did we start the special stages?
I just did them naturally, but
I didn't do them, but we can still talk about them.
Yeah. Our producer is letting us know that the Japanese version of Sonic Heroes apparently has English text. So they have the English subtitles, and I guess they dub. So it is possible.
But it's not on the GameCube?
I don't know. But it is possible that the English dub was first and the Japanese dub was second then in that case.
All right.
That is a possibility. We'll have to look into that more. But yeah, I mean I did the special stages just because I was progressing through the game naturally, but
okay.
Yeah, whatever.
One of the things we were saying is like, obviously we feel like a lot of people, especially like 2000s kids, like they probably got into Sonic through the GameCube.
Yeah, and that was my experience basically with the games, at least.
Yeah, So this is like right after Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 were ported over. Mega Collection, Gems Collection. Actually, I forget if Gems Collection is before.
Gems was later, I think, right?
Yeah, it might have been. So this was like the first original game to come out since then, since after the death of the Dreamcast.
Yes.
This is the first main like 3D game.
3D game.
Because there was Sonic Advance games and stuff.
Right. Not talking about them.
So a little background with me, I said it in previous episodes that I wasn't crazy about Sonic Heroes. And what the funny thing is, I've been seeing a lot of people online love this game. I guess they grew up with it.
Yeah.
And they were really into this. But like with Sonic Adventure 2, I haven't played it in a while. I think this is even like I haven't played this in a really long time. At least I played Sonic Adventure 2, I feel like, in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. But this I haven't played in like almost 20 years.
I remember we're actually sitting in the same basement where this happened. I remember you showing me like the final boss in Sonic Heroes, like when we were teenagers.
I obsessively played that.
That might have been the last time that
I think that was my favorite part of the game when I was a kid.
Yeah, the boss was always the coolest part in the 3D Sonic games.
Yeah,
at the beginning there.
My first note that I wrote down was me starting the game, and I just wrote, "God damn it, fucking hell." Because that sums up my memories of this game. Now, look, I think I was being a little unfair thinking back at this game because I think one of the reasons why I probably didn't enjoy it too much was a little bit of a bias because I just came off of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and that's kind of what I was expecting in a 3D Sonic game at the time.
These games are it's a huge shift from being story-focused to being not story focused at all.
It's a huge tonal shift.
Tonal shift too. It's very silly. It's very fun. Nothing's too serious. Whereas Sonic Adventure 2 was a much more serious game, in terms of the story. It's also really, it goes back to being more of a kind of like arcadey style kind of game where you're just running through levels, solving puzzles. Like it's not. It's such a whiplash from Sonic Adventure 2.
Now, I think this is a trend we're going to be seeing with a lot of 3D Sonic games, but I think this is a case of it being a course correction, because as popular as Adventure 1 and 2 were, there was a lot of criticism that it's too story focused, it's too realistic looking, and this, as you see, it kind of goes back to those fantastical environments from the original games, and it goes back to being, a light story like those classic games. And that was them kind of addressing the complaints that Sonic should be thin on plot, and it should be, it should
more about
more
the
like
gameplay,
a fantasy world, no humans, and
right.
So that's what they kind of go back to in this.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting to just think about for a moment too. This is also around the time that Wind Waker came out.
Okay.
And if you think about that game, I remember, and I was part of this group, and I apologize to anyone who likes Wind Waker.
It's one of my favorites.
I've never beaten it because I bought it for the Master Quest disc so I could play Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
I basically never played Wind Waker. I was like, oh, this is like cartoon BS. Like, I just want my like deep dark, like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Zelda.
And that's kind of how I was like with Adventure 2 going into this.
Right. So it was that time, and this is also, that'll be a couple years later. Like there were a lot of games were kind of more cartoony and fun at this time, and then 3 years later, everything is grimdark and crazy and weird again.
Well,
so it's just
this game is sandwiched in between Adventure 2 and Shadow.
And Shadow, yeah, exactly.
So this is like a weird outlier. Almost.
Exactly, yeah. So that's something to kind of think about, I guess, as we criticize. I don't know if we can necessarily criticize the tone as much, because this was sort of a trend at the time when I thinking back to it.
Yeah.
So
I do want to, when we get more into like interviews and stuff, which I think we're going to do probably when we get
at the end of the game,
at the end of it. I want to see if I can find any information, like quotes from Iizuka or anything about like, this is why they did this. Like, why did they change to this tone? I don't know if any of that information exists out there. I mean,
I've read a little bit about it, so I think we'll be able to find that.
Okay, cool. I think, again, we should talk about this each stage one at a time. There's only 4 we're doing today.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we're going to get a lot into the teams.
Yeah, let's do that first, I think. So did you, I don't know, I don't have any notes, but I know what I want to say about each team. But I guess we should start by saying the way that this game really differs from every other Sonic game, I think that's correct, is that you have a team.
Yeah, I mean, the only game that gets close to this is Sonic Advance 3.
Okay.
And because Sonic Advance 3, you can pair 2 characters together.
I see.
And they have different team names.
Okay, got it.
And different like team up abilities, but it's not quite the same as this.
Yeah.
It's close, but not quite.
Okay. So basically the idea of Sonic Heroes is you play as 3 characters at once.
One speed, one flying, one power.
Yep. So the speed character is basically your regular 3D Sonic gameplay, basically. And we can talk about the different moves and stuff. The flying character is kind of what it sounds like. It's a very nerfed version of Tails from like Sonic Adventure 1.
Very gimped, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the power character who's basically like your combat character for the most part.
Yeah.
The character, so there is combat in this game.
There's a lot of combat in this
game. A lot of it, which is interesting because the AI is horrible. They pretty much just stand there and they shoot every once in a while.
I was going to say that I think they attack more than they do nowadays. That's another
maybe
thing
nowadays. Sure.
That's actually another thing that gets worse because again, this is the debut of the egg pawns. Type
oh, that's
enemies.
Right. I forgot about
this. This is their first game, and they kind of become a reoccurring enemy type in future games. But in future games, egg pawns will literally just stand there for you to boost into.
They still kind of stand there in this game.
They do.
Yeah, you're right.
But they do try to attack you a little bit.
Yeah. So
not as aggressive as Sonic Adventure 2 enemies by far.
No. So the speed characters, we have Sonic for Team Heroes,
Shadow
for Team Dark, Amy for Team
which
Rose,
we'll get into,
and Espio for Team
which we'll also
Chaotix.
get into.
Yeah. So Sonic and Shadow, basically,
they're kind of identical.
They are identical, I'm pretty sure. They have basically the same moves from Sonic Adventure 2 with 2 major exceptions.
Well, they got the tornado now.
So that instead of having the bounce, they have the tornado move. So the tornado move, when you're in the air and you press like the B button, if you're playing on GameCube, you basically will spin and create a tornado. So this can be used to throw robots up in the air, or it can be used specifically to climb up poles, which is the way you use it for platforming.
Yeah.
You can also, and I ended up doing this, you can sort of use it when you're in the air to like get a little bit of time. Like I would be trying to do like a light speed dash and I'd accidentally hit tornado instead, and then it happens.
Yeah,
but
that happened to me.
So those are, and then there's I forget what it's called, but instead of the spin dash, you have basically an accelerating, like a boosting mechanic.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the spin dash and the homing attack.
Yeah.
The spin dash, it's very different in this game.
Well, it doesn't exist technically.
Yeah, it's kind of there. So it's kind of been combined with the light speed attack.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so if you can spam it and kind of go fast. If you hold it down, it kind of I think if you hold it down, it kind of becomes a light speed attack.
Okay. However, we should mention that it only works. The idea, the animation, and it's kind of hard to see, is that Tails or Knuckles or whatever team you're on, they're the ones who are launching you.
Yeah.
So if they're not behind you, you can't do it.
I think this is kind of the beginning of the spin dash kind of getting phased out.
Yeah.
Because it was really kind of overpowered in Adventure 1 and 2, and now it's kind of getting a little more weaker, and I think it's going to get to the point where it's just not really relevant anymore.
Right.
They bring it back in Frontiers finally.
Yeah, finally. Only in the DLC though.
Only in that update.
Yeah, it was I honestly did not use that boosting move at all.
I used it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I watched a couple videos of people playing it. So again, like with Adventure 2, I was trying to go for the A ranks, and I watched a couple people play the game, and some people like really spam the hell out of that.
Sure.
But it takes a little bit of practice to kind of get the timing right, because you can, if you kind of let go of the button too early, sometimes it won't be as effective.
Sure,
or,
that makes sense. We should mention, you mentioned homing attack is speed, and then only Sonic and Shadow, and correct me if I'm wrong, have Lightspeed Dash.
They have the Lightspeed Dash through the
Amy
rings.
and Espio do not have that.
No, Amy's got her hammer.
Yeah, Amy has a hammer move that helps her with platforming, basically.
Well, they all have a tornado ability, but with Sonic and Shadow, it's kind of their thing. But then Espio's Amy and Espio kind of have like a more like lighter version of it. It's like a wind.
Yep.
But Espio turns invisible.
He turns invisible, which, yeah, okay.
So the invisible thing, they pretty much put it in there for specific missions, and we'll get into that because I also did the alternate
check
mission.
that out.
I did the alternate missions too.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm not gonna do those. I think that's kind of been the trend, but
I wrote down I wanted to rate at least the levels.
Sure.
From a scale of Sonic Hero versus Sonic Zero.
I like it. Okay, sounds good.
We have to say, is
it a hero or a zero?
Is it a Sonic Heroes or a Sonic Zero?
Moving on to the flying characters, basically they're all identical pretty much. I don't think there's any difference between any of the flight characters at all. In terms of moves they can do.
Yeah, they all do the Thunder Shoot.
Yes, so the Thunder Shoot's the main like bread and butter
of their moveset.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say if you shoot all the guys out from under you, you can do like a ring throw move. That is kind of useless.
Okay.
But I forget if Cream might send cheese.
That's possible. So but that's like an animation.
But again,
difference.
like you don't ever use these moves,
right?
You just never get an opportunity.
Right.
To.
Yeah. So the Thunder Shot, the way it works is that you basically like your other two team members are in a spin dash basically, and you just shoot them out.
Yeah.
So that's used to take out flying enemies, and that's kind of it. I mean, you can use it, I guess, on other enemies, but it's most effective on flying enemies because it's hard to get them.
Yeah.
And then the flying characters obviously can fly.
Yeah.
So you get a little
well, though.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Let's be
honest. Get a like a bar there that shows you how much flight power you have basically.
A gauge,
And that was the word. You just kind of fly until the gauge runs out, and then you pretty much like fall very quickly after that.
Yeah, and you lose all horizontal movement too when you start falling.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically all the flight characters can do, right? pretty much.
Pretty much, I want to say.
Yeah, they're good for platforming, basically, is what they're made for.
The other thing is, too, is depending on what character you're playing as, that'll change the way their characters are arranged, like they're laid out.
That's a good point.
Like when you're the speed characters, they're kind of, your partners are kind of behind you. When you're flying, you're kind of very vertical.
Yeah, it's like a totem pole, and you're at the top. You're carrying everybody, basically.
And then when you're power characters, everyone's laid out horizontally. They're spread out like on your sides.
Yep.
Which that actually does come in handy depending on like how you want your character's position, like how you want to avoid enemies and stuff like that.
And we'll talk about that when we get into the first stage. But
now, this is my main criticism with the game is I feel like there's 12 playable characters, but really when you get down to it,
there's 3.
There's honestly, there's basically kind of one playable character in this whole game. They all play almost identically. I feel like because there's so many characters, they had to kind of homogenize everyone.
For sure.
And they play so similarly that like it at the end of the day, it's just kind of like a lot of them are kind of the same.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could think about even like your form changing a little bit, so that I guess it makes sense. Let's go into the power characters. So basically, here where there's some differences. Knuckles and Omega
are very similar.
Are very similar. They have like melee attacks.
Yeah, and they slide around.
They slide around and stuff.
Very unwieldy.
Yeah, well. Omega, however, when you do, I think it's a 3-button combo, right?
Yeah.
He'll stay in place and shoot machine guns in a circle, which is very similar to what Vector can do as well.
Yeah.
Vector, at first he breathes fire, and then when you level up, he does the bubblegum attack. Big's
the most unique.
Big's the most unique. Yeah, he uses his fishing rod.
And also, he doesn't like slide around. Instead, he like kind of like throws Amy and Cream.
Yep. Yeah, he throws them out as projectiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas the other power characters, it's almost like the characters go into a spin dash and they're like wearing them like gloves and they like use them to like punch stuff basically. Right. Big uses his fishing rod, and then his 3-button combo, he like spins the fishing rod around and has like a mace on it, and it like goes in a circle and destroys stuff, which is kind of cool.
But I have to say, did you feel like I did where the power characters were kind of at the end of the day the most useless?
No, I didn't. I actually ended up using them a lot more than other characters.
Oh, really? Okay, so for me, so the other thing this game has is it has an HP system and a level up mechanic where the characters get stronger as you collect the power cores.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, your speed and your flying character at the beginning of the level, your speed and your flying character are basically useless.
They can't do combat damage. Yeah,
they're not. They're basically useless.
Sonic can do 1 point of damage with his homing attack. Tails, the thunder shot knocks enemies out of
stuns them a little bit.
Stuns them. It doesn't do damage until he levels up, I believe.
And then once they're leveled up, they're very useful.
Yes.
But see, that's the thing. They give you the power character to be able to take out enemies like before Sonic and Tails or their speed and your flying character can. But once you get Sonic and Tails or the speed and flying, once you get them leveled up, I find like you don't need the power character as much because you could just homing, like you could just switch to Sonic and homing attack people when Sonic's all leveled up.
I guess I just like using them because I like just running in and punching everything and making sure it's dead.
I see the problem.
It's just a preference, I guess.
And I kind of stayed away from the power characters sometimes just because, like, again, they slide around very easily, and it's sometimes hard to hit your target the way you want to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I again, in the last move that I think the power characters can do is they can do a glide. So there are fans, and you stand over the fan and you hold the A button down, and they glide up above the fan, and that's basically it.
Right.
So those are the 3 move types, and there's small variants that we kind of mentioned, but basically the core of this game, and I think we can start with stage 1 here, but you basically go through each stage, and there will be points where they force you, or recommend at least to you, sometimes it's one or the other, to switch out into different character types to do different things. So Sonic is used, obviously, and when I say Sonic, I mean the speed characters.
Yeah.
The speed characters are used to traverse quickly through the stage. The flying characters are used, and these are generalizations. Obviously, you can do anything with any character, technically. The flying characters are used more for, like, platforming.
Yeah.
And then the power characters are used for combat.
Yeah.
And that's really what it breaks down to. So in every level, you have some combination of those 3 different things that you can do, and they want you to choose the character that better fits the situation.
And sometimes they encourage you to, which I do like, is they'll encourage you to maybe use this character or this character. Like you'll get to a point where it's like because there's gates in this game that'll be like speed, flying, and like when you go through the gate, you automatically switch to that. But sometimes you'll get to an area where you'll see both things, and it's like you have a choice. You can use a speed character and go through this grind rail, or you can use this flying character and climb these platforms. But
yeah, and sometimes even there's a lot of visual cues, like they give you the signs that are recommendations.
Oh, there's a lot of cues in this game.
And then there's a lot of dialogue where they'll be like, "Oh, leave that."
This game, I wrote this down. I'm sorry, you go finish. No,
go ahead.
I was gonna say this game talks to you like you're an idiot. This is baby's first Sonic.
Yeah,
it literally like they figured that a lot of kids are gonna be getting into Sonic with this game. Because they really tell you what to do at all times.
Leave that to Tails. Sonic can do this part.
They have signs everywhere, and the characters are constantly telling you what to do. Even like as you get further in the game, they're still being like, this is what you should do. Like,
It's funny you say that. That reminds me of somebody was telling me that America specifically has more traffic signs than anywhere else in the world.
That's funny.
And they're like, what are you, like, you guys are just like idiots or what? Like, you just don't know what you're doing? That's why you have signs everywhere. No, yeah, I don't necessarily. I did actually look into this a little bit. Apparently, they did design it that way on purpose because when they were testing it in the beta stage, people were confused and didn't know how to switch to different characters.
Okay.
So that
explains it.
Apparently, the reason why they did it, we can obviously judge if they, if it was over the top or not, but that was why they did it, apparently.
I think it would have been fine in the first couple levels, but it would have been cool if they backed off later on, but it's they're very, very chatty in this game.
For sure.
This is like the most chatty. I think this might be the most chatty Sonic game.
Yeah. There is a lot of talking.
Yeah. If you're not a fan of Sonic's friends and Sonic's friends not shutting up, then this is not the game for you.
That's why it must be why I like it so much.
If you love this era of voice casting, you get a lot of lines from them. If you love Ryan Drummond and David Humphrey and all them,
All right, Seaside Hill.
Well, okay. I do want to say before we exactly get into this levels, I put the first note down as I was like loading up the game, and it was like Sonic Heroes. I was like, man, I haven't played this game in almost 20 years, but that theme music is
lives rent free.
It lives rent free, as we say.
Yeah.
And I think it's in competition for the most corniest Sonic theme.
What do you think is more corny?
Reach for the Stars is a little cheesy, and so is Endless Possibilities. I know people probably love those songs, and I don't hate them. I think they're good songs. I don't think this is bad either. It's catchy, but it's very cheesy.
I thought you were gonna say Sonic Boom or Toot Toot Sonic Warrior, and I was about
awesome.
to reach across the room and strangle you.
I've never played it. It lives rent free in my head.
Yeah, it's
an iconic song.
It buries in your skull, and you just can't forget the lyrics to it. It's what goes up must come down.
Wait, are there lyrics beyond Sonic Heroes?
Yet my feet don't touch the ground. See the world spinning upside down.
I obviously push start really fast when I'm loading the game up.
Yeah, I still know all the lyrics despite never listening to this song in a long time.
Nice.
Because it's maddening.
Yeah.
It's the soundtrack of my nightmares. Fucking So a little background with me, and my experience with this game. Again, I had like 2 peaks to my Sonic fandom as a kid. One was during the Genesis era and watching Sat AM and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and reading early Archie, playing the Genesis game. But then my second peak was during this era, during the GameCube era, playing Adventure 1 and 2 and Mega Collection. Again, like I maybe was a little biased towards this game because of the tonal shift going from Adventure 2 to this. It's, again, it feels like a complete course correction from the aspects of Adventure 2 that people didn't like.
Yeah.
But I was very hyped for this game when it was coming out.
I remember that.
Yeah, very hyped. And I remember there were 2 things that really hyped me up for the pre-release for this. And one was there was a Sonic Heroes demo that was bundled with Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh, okay.
And I spent so much time playing that demo. It was a demo that also had contained playable demos for Mario Party 5, F-Zero GX, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3, Rebel Strike,
Oh, nice.
and Sonic Heroes.
Wow.
And I think the demo, you played Seaside Hill, and I think you could play as Team Sonic and Team Dark.
Okay.
I played the crap out of that demo. I was obsessed. And then the other thing that really got me excited was there was a video game magazine that like had a cover story. I don't know if it was a cover story, but it was a story about this game leading up to it. I don't know if it was Game Informer. I tried to look it up to see what magazine it was, and I couldn't find it. Was Game Informer around back then?
I think so. That's the one. I think that was the one we were like everyone was subscribed to through GameStop.
But this is where I learned about like what the game was and who the characters were in it. The 12 playable characters, the 4 teams, and that Metal Sonic was returning and was going to be most likely the main villain, which he was.
Yeah.
Was kind of weird that they spoiled that in the pre-release, by the way.
That is interesting, yeah.
Because it's like a big twist in this game.
Right.
I don't know if I should give you all my... yeah, let's talk about this now. Real quick, let's get it out of the way. I learned about the teams, and I had certain thoughts about the teams back then, obviously. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles.
Classic.
Yeah, nothing to say about that. It makes sense that they put those 3 together. This game puts no effort into explaining why Knuckles isn't with the Master Emerald, which I think this is the first game where they're like, screw it.
Yeah,
we're not even going to talk about that,
Yeah.
which kind of becomes a trend. As for Team Dark, I remember reading that magazine back in the day and seeing that Shadow was going to come back. And obviously that blew my mind because he was dead.
Right.
And I was wondering how they were going to bring him back.
He just shows up. What do you mean?
Yeah.
He's
So
just
should we talk about all the opening cutscenes?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah. So for Sonic, it's literally Eggman. Well, it's not Eggman. Eggman's not the villain in this game. It's Metal Sonic. And even
my favorite Sonic character.
Yeah. And even when you see Eggman, that's not Eggman. That's Metal Sonic.
Right. Yeah.
So Metal Sonic's doing everything in this game. So Metal Sonic sends Sonic a note saying that I'm going to take over the world in 3 days. And
see if you can stop me, Sonic Heroes.
See if you can stop me, Sonic Heroes.
My favorite part of that is that Sonic's just running around having fun. And then Tails and Knuckles are in the tornado inexplicably. It's like, wait, why is Knuckles here?
Yeah. No, again, they make no effort to explain why he's not with the Master Emerald. This is the first game where they're just like, you know what? It's too much trouble. We want Knuckles around, but we don't want to have to make up an excuse.
Yeah, he's just here.
Yeah.
He's hanging out.
And again, I think this is the first game where that becomes a trend.
Yeah. I also love that number one, we're fully into the era of Sonic. What do you mean? The tornado has always been Tails' plane. Sonic never had a plane. What are you talking about?
Well, so I think the lore, if we're going to get into the lore of the tornado, the first tornado is Sonic.
Yeah, I know. The second one is
and
Tails.
The second and third one are made by Tails. I don't know what tornado we're on now.
Who knows?
I just know that
but it's just Tails.
The first 2 get destroyed in Sonic Adventure, and then in Sonic Adventure 2, the Cyclone says Tornado 3 on the side.
Right. Yep. So Tails just has the planes now, and they just jump out of it, and that's the best part. They just jump out, and they're like, "All right, I guess we're running now."
Yeah, they just abandon the plane.
Yeah, whatever.
I guess the plane's got autopilot
or something.
Fly somewhere.
Well, we're gonna have the Tornado 4 in the next game. It just crashed.
Well, they go back to a red plane. The plane's blue in this one, right?
It's blue. Yeah. It looks like the Cyclone.
They go back to a more classic look in future games, but they're still using like the Adventure 2 look for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shadow comes back, and this, obviously that blew my mind, and I was wondering how he was going to come back, and it's honestly, they bring him back with very little fanfare.
They don't explain it at all. He's in a pod.
Yeah.
It opens, and Rouge is like, "Hey, Shadow, what's up?"
I always thought this was a weird game to revive him in.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's a tonal shift from Adventure 2. So I kind of feel like the minimal plot of this game doesn't really lend itself to exploring the gravitas of his return like it should have.
And no one seems surprised that he's here.
No one makes a big deal about it.
Yeah.
It's very unceremonial. I think like a more of a proper Sonic Adventure 3 would have been the better story to bring him back in.
Or bring him back in Shadow, I guess.
Well, I think it would have been nice if they left him maybe dead for a little bit longer.
I agree.
And kind of let that memory linger, and then they bring him back later. But I mean, they bring him back because he's incredibly popular.
Yeah, of course.
And they wanted to capitalize on his popularity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny. They probably regretted killing him off in the first place once they saw how popular he was.
Yeah, I mean, there were ideas that Sonic Adventure 2 was going to be like the last Sonic game.
Was it really?
It was mentioned as something that was a possibility.
Okay.
I'm not saying this was like an official Sega mandate.
I guess because the Dreamcast was going out.
That was sort of so a lot of the staff had this idea like this is the last game. Okay. That's why Eggman is such a great character in that game, and that's why like they went the extra mile with the story.
Okay.
That obviously didn't end up happening. So I think maybe like you're saying, they were like, oh, we probably should have not killed Shadow off if we knew that we were going to be developing for the GameCube after this.
Yeah, or that his character was going to be so immensely popular.
Right.
This is also the first appearance of Omega.
Yes.
Who's the only technically new character in this game.
We'll talk about
the
Cream
Chaotix are. We'll get into that.
And Cream as well.
Cream, yeah, also Cream. He's kind of sort of a replacement for Gamma. I guess.
Yeah.
They knew they couldn't pair Shadow and Rouge with Eggman again, so they decided to let's use that robot from Sonic Adventure 1. Oh no, he's dead.
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, we can bring Shadow back, but we can't bring Gamma back.
Which is. I think we're talking about playing Sonic Battle this year, which is they kind of bring Gamma back and that, but it's not really the same Gamma.
That's not as cool.
But yeah, so they bring Omega back. He's not as a compelling character as Gamma, but he's very similar to Gamma that he rebels against his creator.
He is definitely. You'd have to check the years on this. When did Knights of the Old Republic 1 come out? I think it was like 2004. I think it was.
Now?
He's going to check right now.
He's going to look it up.
But it is interesting that we are really entering that early 2000s era of having killer robots everywhere.
Yeah, that are kind of snarky.
Snarky killer robots, yeah. So it's interesting. I wonder who's first, Omega or HK-47. 2003. Oh, when did Sonic Heroes come out?
2003, right?
Also 2003. That's got to be just something was happening in society. He
gets more HK like in future stuff.
I bet he does, because HK was a breakout,
especially when
character.
Anne Flynn writes him.
Yeah, December 2023. So they had a couple months maybe to write Omega.
I feel like Archie Omega. Omega shows up towards the. I don't want to say the very end of Archie, but like towards the later half of Archie, and he's very, very like
HK-47 inspired. But it's just interesting. There was something going on in the public psyche that we're creating all these like crazy killer robots in 2003 apparently.
Yeah, Futurama was on the air.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, Bender maybe influenced that.
Yeah. So we'll talk about Team Rose. Team Rose has the dumbest story. Let's be honest.
Well, it's the best one. What do you mean?
It's
great.
It's so silly.
But where's Froggy?
So the whole story is that
they're literally like sitting around at a resort for no reason.
It's so dumb because Amy's holding a newspaper for Sonic, a newspaper of Sonic, kidnapping Chocola and Froggy.
Yes.
But she's also wondering what Sonic is doing.
Yeah,
she's
that's
like,
the story.
Sonic's
that's
doing?
really more her motivation. She's like, I wonder where Sonic is.
Yeah. So Amy's whole motivation is that she wants to beat up Sonic into marrying him. Correct. She wants to chase him down and force him to marry her.
And she says his name really weird. She's like, Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic.
Cream and Big are just along for the ride because they're
looking for their
friends are kidnapped.
Yep. Yeah. And this is technically, this was supposed to be the introduction of Cream.
Yes, it is. So I wrote that down. So Cream was developed for this game specifically, and they decide to debut her in Advance 2 and Sonic X first,
right,
as a way to kind of familiarize her with the audience before she showed up in this game.
Right.
So technically she's a new character for this, but technically she's not.
Right.
So again, going back to my experience, I saw in the magazine back in the day, Team Rose was going to be in this. Oh yeah, here I wrote down that Yuji Naka in January 30th, 2024 in the Sega Europe Tough Team interview, Cream was created specifically for Sonic Heroes. Yeah. So that's where that information comes from.
This is also sadly the last time that Big is playable, I believe, right?
In a mainline game.
In a mainline game, yeah.
The only thing I can think of is Sonic Chronicles: The Dark
He's in
Brother.
Chronicles. Yeah, he's the best party member in that.
He's probably in some of the sports and racing games.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, this is like this is also the only main 3D game where Cream is playable.
Right, that's a good point.
In fact, this isn't like the only main 3D game where she's actually like relevant. She has a cameo in Shadow, but it's like a little tiny cameo.
She's not at Sonic's birthday party in Generations, right?
No, she is.
She is.
That's right. She's in Sonic Generations. That's right. She's she's weirdly the Sonic Adventure character in that game.
Interesting.
She's the character that's
outside. So she's Tikal.
Yeah, no. What I mean is, so in Sonic Generations, they have like a level for each game.
Right. Yeah.
And she's the one they put outside Speed Highway for Sonic Adventure.
Okay.
They put Espio outside of the Seaside Hill for Sonic Heroes.
Okay, that makes sense.
I guess they put her in front of Speed Highway because in the Sonic Adventure remake, she has a cameo in the DX version.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah.
I remember reading the Sonic Heroes story in the magazine, and I saw Team Rose. I guess nothing big to say about that, but it was surprising. This was the first time we saw Big teamed with Amy and Cream.
Yep.
And I kind of like that Big and Amy are friends. I kind of wish they would do more with that.
We just need more Big in general. I mean, Cream too. Like Cream is coming back a lot this year, 2024. And she was in Dream Team and stuff, but
Cream and Big have been utilized a little more. Just a little bit.
This was definitely like the peak of Sonic's dumb friends in 2003, where everybody started complaining there's too many Sonic characters.
This is when the journalists got triggered by all of Sonic's friends being in things.
Yeah. So it is interesting, like you were saying, we're really getting into the era of course correction that we're really only maybe coming out of like now in 2024.
Yeah, because we go into an era of where it's nothing but Sonic playable,
right?
And
for a very
variations of Sonic. Like it'll be like Sonic and the Werehog and Sonic and Classic Sonic, and that's about it.
Yeah, the Wisps, I guess, power ups.
Yeah.
I
tried to read that newspaper that Amy's holding in the beginning. It's called City News, and I couldn't glean anything from it. I tried to look up and see if anyone did a transcript of it, but I couldn't find anything.
Okay.
All I got out of it was something about Palm Gear and turning animals into robots, and they also talk about Sonic's spin attack.
Interesting.
That's the only thing I got out of it. Nothing interesting. The Chaotix.
Yes.
This is interesting. In the February 3rd, 2004 Electronic Gaming Monthly article called Afterthoughts, Sonic Heroes, a Candid Chat with Sonic Team's Lord of the Rings, Takashi Iizuka said that these versions of the Chaotix are new. They're just based on the characters from the classic games. He wanted to use them because he felt they were unique in their actions, personalities, and goals. That they add flavor and variety to the overall picture. They were also characters who Sonic Team has never used before because Knuckles Chaotix was developed by Sega CS, and Sonic the Fighters, which has SPO in it, it was developed by Sega AM2. Asuka never made a game with them before. They wanted to recreate them so they could fit within the modern Sonic world more. So they're kind of ignoring the
Chaotix.
They're ignoring elements from Knuckles Chaotix. However, in Tales Tube number 5 that aired on October 10, 2023, the one that's titled Remember When, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy are thinking back. They're reminiscing to the classic days. And they start talking about Mighty. And Knuckles brings up how he teamed up with him with him and the boys back in the day. And when he says that they show a picture of Knuckles Chaotix, or they show footage of Knuckles Chaotix. So since Tales Tube is canon, this means that Knuckles Chaotix has been recanonized, at least to a degree.
Right.
And if I guess we could assume that classic Charmy, Vector, and Espio, who we haven't seen, we've had this classic resurgence where we've had Mania and Superstars and classic Sonics appeared in Forces and Generations. I guess we can assume that classic Espio, Knuckles, or Espio, Vector, and Charmy, that they would be retconned to be more like their modern incarnations.
I guess so, yeah.
Because they barely have characters because, again, they're classic characters back then, but they're kind of different in a way. Like, Espio's not a ninja in that game.
He's not a ninja,
And Charmy, I think, is supposed to be, like, older.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be more, like, calm and, like, cool and collected.
Yeah, and I remember one of the things in Knuckles Chaotix manual was that Vector went to the island because he thought God was there or something weird like that. Maybe when we play Knuckles Chaotix, we can get into this really weird backstories. Yeah. They're basically reinvented. Now they're detectives.
Yes.
That's their new story. Espio's a ninja now, and Charmy's a scatterbrain kid.
Annoying, yeah.
He's very, very annoying.
He's the most annoying
by
child
far.
Character in this game.
I wonder, though, if we'll ever see the classic Chaotix again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was reading the game, that gaming magazine that was covering Sonic Heroes as a kid, I was very confused when I saw the Chaotix. So kind of a fun story with me. I grew up with the Archie comics. I was mostly familiar with the Chaotix from those comics because I didn't have Knuckles Chaotix growing up. And, I knew the Freedom Fighters. I knew they were exclusive to Sat AM and Archie. So in my kid brain back then, I thought the Chaotix were from Archie.
Sure.
So when I saw that they were in this game, I was like, they're bringing Archie characters over to this. And then I did later learn about Knuckles Chaotix, but Sonic Spinball existed.
Wait, you didn't have a 32X?
Who had a 32X?
Producer just raised his
This
hand.
guy did, apparently. I did learn about Knuckles Chaotix, but Sonic Spinball was a game.
Mm-hmm.
And in Sonic Spinball, the Freedom Fighters have a cameo. So again, in my kid brain, I thought, oh, Knuckles Chaotix is a game that's based on the Archie comics.
Sure.
I don't know where I got that idea from, but so I thought, oh, they're bringing Archie characters into this.
Yeah.
But then I later found that no, I was just a stupid kid, and that the Chaotix are original to the games.
And I will say, I do like the modern incarnation of the Chaotix. I think they're cool. I like that they're around.
Well, they have characters now.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, I think Espio's like a really cool character. I really enjoy him.
I want to talk about some of the things Espio's characterization, because it's kind of hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I love Vector. Like, Vector's great.
Vector's cool.
Yeah. Again, Omega's the only real original character of this game, but I mean, you can say Omega, Cream, and the Chaotix are all supposed to be new characters.
Technically,
for this game.
Sure.
So that's a lot of characters.
Yes.
And this is also the game that is... this is funny because we said we were going to get into the levels like a long time
Haven't even
ago.
started yet.
Yeah, but no, I got a lot to say about the characters real quick. This is the game where we have the voice cast for the last time.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So of the Adventure Era voice
guys,
character.
yep.
This is the last time we have Ryan Drummond, Dean as Sonic, Dean Bristow as Eggman, Scott Dreyer as Knuckles. Because of next game with Shadow the Hedgehog, they would all be replaced with the four kids' voice
Roger
actors.
Craig Smith, right?
No. That's Jason Griffith.
Okay, that's right.
Technically, this isn't their last game because they use their voice clips in the advanced games. I think all three advanced games uses their voice clips in Sonic Battle. This is the last major 3D game. I think this might be the last time they recorded new lines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they recorded new lines for the advanced games, but I think a lot of that was reused. As for Tails' voice actor, this is William Quirkery.
Oh, right.
Quirkery, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sorry. This is his only Tails role because this is still the time where they casted actual kids and then they would age out of their...
Yeah, he's like 9 years old or something, right?
Yeah, they aged out of their voice like immediately after their first game.
Yeah.
So they would have to get replaced
and
every
this is
game.
the youngest Tails voice actor, right?
Yeah. He is... Okay, so interesting fact. This is... the English voice cast is a little bit of a family affair in this game. The guy who plays Espio, his name is Bill Quirkery. He's the voice director. And he's his daughter plays Charmy, Emily Quirkery, and his son is Tails.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a little bit of a family affair.
Nice.
That being said, was never super fun with how this Tails sounds because he's very nasally.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of the dub voice for the OVA Tails. He's also very nasally.
Yeah.
But I do think he has better line deliveries than the Tails in Sonic Adventure 2.
Yes, definitely.
It's more natural.
More
sounding.
natural.
Yeah.
Well, there's also less techno babble, so that could be part of it.
Yeah. He's kind of more of a general like little kid in this game. Shadow and Rouge are still voiced by David Humphrey and Lanny Manila, respectively. Omega is voiced by John St. John, who's the voice of Duke Nukem.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
He's also Big's voice in Sonic Adventure and in this game. So, Duke Nukem is Big.
Nice.
Which is great.
Very cool.
And then
I love how probably almost everyone listening this is like, I don't even know what Duke Nukem is.
Oh, people know who Duke Nukem is, right?
Not anymore.
And so this will be Jennifer Dollard's last 3D Sonic game role as Amy. And this is full-on stalker crazy Amy in this game, too.
Right.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't think Sonic Heroes did any reputation for Amy's character.
No, I remember thinking Amy was annoying in this game, which Amy's another one of my favorite characters, so it was kind of sad to see.
This is I think this is the game that gives, like I said, it gives her all of her bad reputation from them in this. It's her motivation is literally, I want to beat Sonic into marrying me. I didn't write down Cream's voice actress. Let me look that up.
How dare you?
I know. I'm such a jerk.
How could you do that?
Cream, Sonic Heroes voice actor. Which, I mean, I think her voice actor is good.
It's fine.
Sarah Wolfeck.
Okay.
Sarah Wolfeck. Okay. Vector's voice actor is, he's played by Mark, I hope I'm saying this right, Mark Biaggi.
Okay.
Biaggi. Sorry. Sorry for butchering that. He played Gerald in some of the gun bosses in Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh, okay.
So he's Gerald's voice actor.
Nice.
All right. I like his voice for Vector. I think he's
I like generally most of the voices in this game. I think some
of them are
good.
a little grating. Again,
Charmy
could be a little high pitched and It's funny thinking that Charmy was voiced by a little girl though. I'm like, oh, she's giving it her all.
Yeah.
it's cool. I think it's really cool that we got to play the chaotics in this. And I have to say, like, I'm not really, we'll get into their play styles in a little bit, but I like their motivation because I think it's very relatable that they just want money.
They're just trying to pay the rent.
Despite the fact that money apparently does not exist in Sonic's world. That's one of the mandates that Sega has. Even though Vector clearly wants money and he has a little dollar signs that appears in his eyes. I just like to imagine that Vector is explaining to Charmy that he has to pay off his loan sharks, who in the Sonic world are literal sharks.
Literal sharks.
Because he doesn't want to get his legs broken. He's like, oh, Charmy, we gotta get money because they're gonna come after me. They're gonna break my legs.
They're still collecting on he took out a loan on all that band equipment he got in Sonic 1 and he's never paid it back.
I just love Vector being this like down on his luck guy who he's constantly broke.
Yep.
All right, so now before we get into the levels,
we should just end the episode before we actually talk about the levels.
I know, we're never gonna get to it. The play style for each character. This is gonna be brief.
Yeah.
Because there's not really much to say. Sonic is intermediate. Team Dark is hard.
Yes.
Team Rose is easy. And Chaotix is
mission based.
Is bullshit.
That's funny. It is interesting, and I do want to say my biggest critique of the way that they set up the UI on the main screen is that Sonic, it's listed exactly in the order you just said. Normal mode, hard mode, easy mode, special mode. So when you first start the game, if you don't know that Team Rose is supposed to be easy mode, 95% of people probably just picked Sonic.
Yes.
And by the time you get to Amy's story, which is the easy mode, you've already done the hard mode, probably.
Yes.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, it really felt like they were like trying to make these different, and they just didn't know how to make them different. Yeah, that's what.
If they had just put Amy first, I wouldn't have had an issue with it, honestly. But
funny thing is, I talked about that demo. Amy wasn't playable in that demo.
Right.
That's supposed to be like your introduction to the game, but it's Sonic and Shadow. It's Team Hero.
Yeah.
Team Sonic and Team Dark.
Yep.
I don't know, man, but I have to say that it was funny. I played them in order. Yeah. So I did Dark before Rose. And
same.
My experience going from Dark to Rose was like Goku or Rock Lee taking off the training weights. Because it's like you go from the hardest play style to the easiest, and it's like oh my god, this is for babies. Like I just played the Dark story.
And it is definitely. Oh, before we get into the levels, we have to talk about Stage 0.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to talk about that when we... Yeah, no, you're right.
It's so infuriating because I beat
that's the worst tutorial.
Team Dark, and then you have to play an unskippable tutorial. It's like, dude, I've already beat this level like 3 times.
And Omochao stops you every 2 steps to be like, hey, this is what you do, and you gotta
it's
do
awful.
This, and,
If they had made you do that before you went and did anything... it would maybe make more sense.
It's called Ocean Gate, right?
Ocean Gate, yeah.
So you play that as Team Rose, but I think if you go into the menu and select it individually, you can play it as Team Sonic.
You can.
Yeah.
But who's going to do that when you first boot up the game?
Yeah.
So again, let's say that you're not a maniac like me and you just beat the entire like Team Sonic mode and the entire Team Dark mode.
Yeah.
And then you boot up Amy and it's like, here's a tutorial. And be like, why am I playing this?
Right.
What is the purpose of this? So it's just very strange the way they laid it out.
I don't think it was a good... at the end of the day, I think they should have just not even did the difficulty thing and just kind of gave them like roots, which they kind of do.
But not... Well, Amy's... Team Rose, they do like half the level.
It's like a truncated version of
exactly,
level.
Which is good if you need to farm emeralds.
I found like Team Rose to be like a moment of respite. Like it's like
yeah, sure.
I would do like the hard missions and then I would play that and I'm like, oh man, this is easy.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
easy.
Yeah.
So or respite, sorry.
Respite is how
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna correct you.
You should have corrected me. We're on a podcast.
All right, I'm gonna correct you every time you say anything wrong.
Yeah, which is often. I know.
Well, I hope everyone had a great time.
Everyone had a great time. We're not even going to talk about the levels. No, all right. So now we can talk about the levels. And Seaside Hill, I'm going to say it's a Sonic Hero, not a Sonic Zero. You like Seaside Hill? Say it's a Sonic Hero, not a Sonic Zero. Come on.
Of the 4 levels we played...
Are you going to say this is your least favorite?
It is my...
It can't be your least favorite.
Second least favorite.
Okay. What's your least favorite? No, save it. I want to be surprised.
Okay.
Let's say it.
okay. It's fine.
I think despite this being a Green Hill knockoff, I liked it. It's pretty iconic in its own right. I mean, this level's appeared in so many subsequent Sonic games.
I know that, and I just don't know why.
In the sumo racing games, whatever the company's called, the teams, the All-Star racing games.
Yeah.
It's in those. It's in Generations. It's in the mobile games.
Right.
Like, this is like one of the definitive Sonic
because it's a
now.
beach or what? Like, I just don't.
It just because it looks enough like Green Hill, I guess.
To me, it's like a ripoff of Sonic Adventure 1.
What, Emerald Coast?
Of Emerald Coast. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's a little bit like Green Hill merged with Emerald Coast.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just don't think this is a strong starting level, personally.
Yes. I want to say this about this game. I think the graphics are nice.
They are. They look good.
I think, like, the textures, like, for the time, they look all right. Yeah. I like the aesthetic of this game a lot.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, I really do like how Seaside Hill looks. That being said, I don't like how the characters look. They're very, very shiny and plasticky.
That's what they were doing though at that time.
I hate the way they look.
I kind of like it.
I don't like it. They look like figures.
That's what I like about it. Maybe.
I don't like it. It always. I've never liked it. It always bothered me how and they look like this in Shadow also.
Yeah, that reminds me. I have a bit for next time. I forgot to do it today, but I have a bit for next time.
You got to remember it.
Yeah.
Is this a Sonic Hero or a Sonic Zero?
This is a Sonic Zero for me.
Oh my god.
I don't like it.
All right, I disagree.
Sorry.
I like this level.
I just think it's like not. I don't know. I just didn't think it was a fun introductory level.
I thought it was pretty good.
I did get lost in the cannon room. You know, at the very end of the level, you're in a room with the cannon. I didn't realize you had to switch teams or switch formation and go at like speed or flying to get out of there. And I got really confused for like a minute. I also did experience a game crash.
Really?
In the cannon area as well. And I finally figured out why my game was crashing all the time.
Why is that?
I cleaned my laser off. It was dirty.
Oh, okay. Well, that.
Yeah, so that was
it's not
why.
The game's fault.
No, it was not the game's fault. It was my dirty GameCube laser.
It was your mistreatment of your own hardware.
Yep.
I have to say about the level design in this game, I personally, and this is probably one of the reasons why I had somewhat negative memories of this game, is again because there's such an emphasis in combat. I kind of dislike all the stopping this game makes you do. Like, there's so many moments where it's like, stop right here and fight things, because again, it's always asking you to fight, and I think this is a way to justify the power character.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm also not a fan of Sonic games having an HP system.
Right.
I think you should just hit a character and keep going.
For sure, and that's a big difference in this one. And yeah, I don't know. You either love it or hate it. I feel like there's no.
Yeah, and I also feel like the characters are very floaty in this.
Yes, yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
The homing attack is a little laggy. I have to say what's cool about the homing attack in this game is it can go very, very far. Like, you can like dash towards a character from a great distance. It's kind of cool. But no, everything's very slow moving, and I kind of feel like it kind of hurts the flow a little bit. It's not the worst. I honestly think the homing attack in like Frontiers might actually be worse than this.
Okay.
And 06, which is kind of similar to Frontiers' homing attack, where it's got a very laggy animation. So like with Team Dark, I noticed this is like when I noticed what they were doing different with them, and it's just kind of like they move things around a little bit.
Yes.
They add more enemies.
Yeah, I wrote more enemies, more barriers.
Some of the items like the rings were moved around. Yeah. Minor environmental differences. I did think it was fun. So I do want to mention this about the characters. It's so funny how the dialogue is so cheesy in this game, and then all of a sudden like Omega will say something like "kill,"
yeah,
or Espio. When you fight the first boss, he'll say, "Death to the evil one. Eggman must die," or something like that. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like, it's just like so violent. It's hilarious though. Also, Omega says something about worthless consumer models when you're fighting the robots, which is interesting. Because is that implying that Eggman sells his robots like the Egg Pawn lines?
He probably meant they were mass produced, right?
I guess.
Yeah. It is a weird line.
Yeah. Also, Seaside Hill, it's got that weird car thing.
Oh, yeah, the car.
I kind of liked it. It's a fast but unintrusive.
The car's okay,
It's an unintrusive gimmick. It shows up again in Sonic Generations.
Okay.
And you can boost in it.
That's more fun.
Yeah. I kind of honestly prefer like the more varied designs of the Badniks, but
whatever. They're fine. They're iconic looking.
I mean, his robots get more generic looking in like future games. Like, there's the Egg Fighters in Unleashed, but then you get I get their names mixed up. That might be the Sonic 06 robots, but They kind of go back to egg pawns, and now they're kind of back to badniks with egg pawns a little bit in modern games. I wasn't a huge fan of the flying at first, and there's so many bottomless pits in this game.
There are a lot of bottomless pits,
which I'm not a fan of in Sonic games.
Right.
Kind of one misstep with your flying, and you really get punished.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Again, I talked about how I thought playing as the speed character felt the best. I also I checked out the extra missions. I did all the A ranks again. I'm crazy like that. So with the extra missions, Team Sonic has a time requirement. You have to beat the level in a certain time. Team Dark has an enemy requirement. You have to like beat a certain. I don't know if it's 100 enemies every time or if it's a certain amount of enemies. Team Rose, it's a ring requirement, and Team Chaotix usually has like a harder version of their main mission.
Okay.
Which I thought was kind of lame, but I do think it was kind of smart of this game to spread out those alternate missions through the teams because the teams play so similarly.
Right.
Like instead of doing those missions like 4 times, which would be insane, it's just like everyone gets
that's cool.
Gets one each. I like that better.
Can we talk about my favorite part of Ocean Hill?
Seaside Hill.
Seaside Hill.
What's that?
Finding hermit crabs.
Yeah, so
your first mission is finding hermit crabs.
So Metal Sonic decides to tell Chaotix, I'm going to test you. Find hermit crabs.
Spoiler alert, the mysterious voice on the walkie-talkie is Metal Sonic, if you couldn't figure that out.
We're going to drop all pretense here. It's Metal Sonic.
Yeah. I've never beat the game, and I figured that out pretty quickly.
Yeah. We should have said spoiler alert on top, but who doesn't? Seriously, who doesn't know at this point? Oh, yeah. So that's the thing where I was like, they're really trying to come up with things for you to do in this game.
Yes.
Like,
hermit crabs.
Just find hermit crabs.
Now, that said, the hermit crab industry, you can make a lot of money on that if you get some good hermit crabs and sell them.
Yeah.
So you never know.
I don't like Charmy's flower thing. He's kind of one of his gimmick is like,
the teleportation flowers. Yeah, those are weird. Yeah,
I feel like they just give it to him for just to have it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. All right, so I'm going to give Seaside Hill, even though we talked a lot about the characters during this. I think we got that all over my system.
I believe so.
I'm going to give it a Sonic Hero, but you're giving it a Sonic Zero.
For right now, of the 4 levels we played, it's my second least favorite.
All right.
It's not bad. Can I put it as can I make it like a Sonic in the middle?
It's Sonic in the middle?
It's Sonic in the middle.
All right, fair enough. It's just a Sonic level.
It's just a Sonic level.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
So, Ocean Palace. How do you feel about this one? Is this a Sonic
My
Hero?
least favorite level.
This is your least favorite one.
Yeah, I didn't like this one.
So this is Sonic Zero for
This
you.
is my Sonic Zero.
This one's kind of just the Sonic level for me.
I just didn't like the stone, running from this. It was automated, and there was more automation in this level.
There's a lot of yes, there is.
Yeah.
This is my second least favorite one. And this is that's the reason why there's a lot of just running forward and all that. Oh, I didn't want to say I do like Seaside Hill's music.
The music's good.
Ocean Palace probably has my favorite song. It really stuck in my head. I've been thinking about that song a lot lately. I really like the aesthetic of this level.
Yes.
Level design wise, not great, but I like the idea of an ocean temple.
I do. I agree.
thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
This fun fact, Sonic Generations, again, Seaside Hill is the level that represents this game in Sonic Generations, but because they already had Green Hill in that game, they kind of combined Seaside Hill with Ocean Palace in Sonic Generations. It plays both. It kind of has the song is kind of a mix of both their songs together. Cool. And they kind of turn it more into a water level, which is fun. They bring back that part where you're on the sea turtles, which, by the way, it's one of the set pieces of this level. It's the only time in this level where you get a little area where you can explore is the sea turtles. Kind of. Did you kind of feel that the levels in this game kind of emphasize one character over the others?
Yes.
So this is the power character.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
All the fans and the walls that you got to knock down.
And it was slow, and I think that's probably what I disliked the most about it.
Yeah, same.
I guess what it really comes down to, this zone, if we can call this a zone, I guess.
You can call them zones.
This zone to me doesn't get me excited to play the game.
Really?
And I didn't warm up into the game until the next zone.
Okay. This zone also had the hardest missions for me, I think, because Team Dark, to get an A, you have to get some absurdly high score. So I had to keep replaying with them over and over again. And then for the Chaotix alternate mission, it's a stealth mission.
Okay.
So that remember when
That's
I
where
said
you have to go
Espio's
invisible.
ability is for a specific thing, is invisibility. You have to. This is what it's for. It's like you have to go through the whole level being undetected by robots.
I see.
So there's you go invisible and you run past the robots, and then you switch to Vector and Charmy when you really have to.
Right.
It wasn't like super hard, but it did take me a couple tries to do it. How do you feel about the team abilities, like the Team Blast?
It's good. I like it. It's fine.
I wish you could skip their cutscenes because it really slows
does take a
things
long
down.
time.
Yeah, but after
But
you
it's
see
nice
them-
to use to get a screen clear.
Yeah, that's nice. And then they give you like extra like power ups for a little bit, like
Yeah.
Team Dark, you freeze time.
Yeah. I do want to say with that actually sucks and is horrible because if you use it,
In a certain area,
it
like you need to wait for like a
slows.
platform to
Yeah.
or a door to open.
that's
like,
more in the next zone, I guess. But
yeah, it's more of a problem in the next couple of levels.
Yeah.
Team Rose gets invincibility, and Team Chaotix, which I really like their ability because you can get rings from them. Really helpful for getting the A rank. But yeah, I mean, again, I agree with you that set piece with the things
rolling
chasing
boulders,
you.
yeah.
That was kind of annoying. That hit me once when I was. So there's a part where you have to jump after a loop.
Yep.
And that ran up and hit me once and killed my run because I fell into the bottomless pit.
Nice.
I was like,
Classic.
I got so mad.
I feel like it's not a Sonic game if you don't die on a loop at some point.
Or fall through a bottomless
Just fall
pit.
through a invisible bottomless pit in a loop.
Again, like most 3D Sonic games, the loops are very automated, which I found frustrating because mostly in Power Plant, which we'll get to, you're trying to jump through rings, but then it forces you through the loops, and it's really annoying. Boss fight. I think the boss fights are Sonic Zeros in this.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I think we can agree all the boss fights suck, right?
Yeah, we've only did the first two, but
still.
So just so you know, this game has like 3 unique boss fights.
Oh, nice.
There's Eggman boss fights, which are basically you chase him and
Right.
you just spam homing attack and all that. And then there's the team boss fights, which are basically all the same.
Yeah.
There's enemy rushes where you just
Okay.
fight enemies as the boss.
Nice.
It's not great. This boss, I just felt like the Egg Hawk was just kind of meh.
Yeah, I just don't care about it.
Again, I don't like the HP system,
Mm-mm.
so I think it actually kind of hurts this boss.
Yeah, it makes it go on too long, I feel like. And you get to the point where I feel like you're not even fighting the boss, you're just mashing a button.
You're just mashing buttons.
Yeah.
I do think the cutscenes a little bit before the cutscenes before this boss, I think they were interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So this Team Sonic one, or the Team Rose one, there's not a lot to say. The Team Dark one is I thought it was funny because it's Metal Sonic who's Eggman. He's in the mech.
Right.
Metal Sonic says to Omega is like, "Oh, like you're betraying your creator. Like what's wrong with you?" It's like, well, Metal Sonic. The
Right.
irony is you're betraying your creator right now.
You are.
And then the Team Chaotix one, that was the one that was like the big debate, like, oh, the Chaotix will reboot it for this game because Charmy said, like, SP was like, it's the evil scientist, Dr. Eggman, and Charmy's like, Doctor Who?
Right.
And it's like, well, I mean, if Knuckles Chaotix happened, then, he should know who Dr. Eggman is. But now Knuckles Chaotix is canon, so
he just forgot.
Well, so my headcanon is maybe Charmy only knew him as Dr. Robotnik, and then he's like, oh, Dr. Eggman. Espio heard that his name is Dr. Eggman,
right?
So he's like, oh, Doctor Who, or then most likely Charmy thought Espio was talking about his favorite British sci-fi show, so he was like, oh, Doctor Who,
Yeah,
so,
possible.
Yeah, but yeah, this boss fight was just not not great. I thought it was funny though, because when I played this as Team Rose, all I did was I played as Big and I belly flopped.
You just
on
did
top.
belly flops.
I did belly flops on top of the thing, and I just imagined Metal Sonic being like, "Stop it! Stop belly flopping!" and just Big just crushing him.
Yeah.
And then you beat him, and then Big's like, "Oh, that was a big birdie." It's just like Big just thought he was crushing a bird to death
Just
with
for
his
fun.
stomach.
Yeah. Good old Big.
Yeah. I also learned of a glitch in this game that I was using. I don't know if it's a glitch or if it's kind of an exploit where it's like if you mash the attack and you change your teammate at the same time. If you mash those 2 buttons together, you can build your gauge up just by doing that.
Oh, nice.
So I was using that sometimes for like to get an easy screen clear.
Yeah, nice.
Next level is Grand Metropolis, which this for me is a Sonic hero.
This is a Sonic hero for me as well.
This is, I think, the best level that we've played of the 4.
This is my second favorite level that we played.
It's not the... Is Power Plant your first?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate you. This is not the most aesthetically pleasing level because everything's kind of puke green.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought level-wise it was fun. It was like really fast, just really great like flow to it.
And this was a speed level for sure. This was focused on Sonic.
Yeah.
And running around and having a good time, like going through the set pieces.
I like the music in this level too. So there's some interesting lore about Grand Metropolis. So they talk about it a bit in the game, and they got me like on my interest piked, and I looked it up. So peaked. Thank you for correcting me. Sorry. I know me not know English. That's impossible. In universe, this city is owned by the Clean Energy Company, and it's got a name. You can see it on the billboards. It's called Hexaeco.
Okay.
And they specialize in that kind of like red orangey liquid that they keep talking about.
Right.
It runs through the city. Metal Sonic, however, he comes in and he takes over, and he sells the energy for money and to power his robot army. Apparently,
makes sense.
So I just thought that was an interesting bit of lore. I mean, I never heard of Hexaeco since then in the Sonic games. Like I even forgot they existed. But a little bit of world building. The Team Chaotic. I love this level. I don't like the Team Chaotix mission for this level.
I had fun with this one. I liked finding all the enemies and killing them.
I thought this sucked ass because I was getting used to doing the Team Dark missions.
Right.
And you have to beat robots with them. But the deal is with like Team Dark and Team Rose, if you get to the end of their levels before you complete the objective, the ring takes you back to the beginning and it respawns everything in the level. So you could just like, oh, okay, like I missed 2 enemies, but then I get sent back and then I could just beat the first 2 enemies I see and finish.
Oh, okay.
With Team Chaotix in this mission.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. You get the exact amount of robot. You have to get every
exact
robot in the level. And then if you get to the end, you get sent back to the beginning and nothing respawns.
That's right.
Which frustrated me because there are 2 robots in this level.
They're the 2 that I missed probably.
Yes. And I looked it up and a lot of people have missed these 2 robots, which is very frustrating.
You have to go down.
There's a section where there's a wall that you fly over with the guy.
And you have to go backwards.
You have to pause for a second and wait for 2 robots to slowly drop down. Those are the ones I'm thinking of. Those are the ones I was missing.
I think so.
You have to. There's a spring right in front of you, so your instinct is like, I'm going to
run.
Right,
and they're behind you.
For me, they were
behind
in front of me.
Oh.
I think the problem was that I would run to that spring and I wouldn't know that there were robots there because they were slowly falling. Okay. You would get to the spring before they would land. And I was like, I had to restart this over and over because like, where are these 2 levels of robots I'm missing? And eventually I had to look it up and a lot of people apparently had this problem where they missed these 2 specific robots. I'm like, why would you do that?
But that's on the lower pathway, right? You can grind up the top, and then this is like one of the lower pathways, right?
This is when you get into one of those corridors, I think, after those sections.
Oh, so I didn't miss those 2 then.
Okay.
So I missed 2 different ones.
I guess so.
I don't know.
But if you get to that last section and you don't have the robots, you're screwed.
We have to go back.
You have to. If we're going for the A rank, you just have to restart.
So I just went through again and.
I hated it so much. I got so frustrated at this mission. I love this level. I didn't like that specific mission. I'm not going to blame the level for that. That was a mission. That was a mission.
Mission issue.
Mission issue.
A issue.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about this level besides it's really fast?
It's great.
I think it's great.
This is why I started enjoying the game.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this level. I mean, I personally like Seaside Hill, but this level was a step up for me. I think this was the better one. Power Plant.
My favorite level of the
this
4
gets
we
a Sonic
played.
Zero for
Sonic
me.
Hero for me.
No.
I really enjoyed this one.
You enjoyed the stupid elevators that like slowly like.
I mean, it wasn't the best, but like it was okay.
You enjoyed all the combat sections. I don't like the combat.
I like the combat sections. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote. I really enjoyed this level. At the risk of being a fake fan, I liked some of the automated parts too, like running on the highways. And like all the loops and stuff.
I liked Radical Highway in Sonic Adventure 2. Right, that was very automated.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was fun to like go through and do all this stuff. I really like the ending where you have to escape out of the reactor before it explodes and all that stuff.
It's all right. So my favorite sections of this level, which I actually did like these rooms a lot. There's 2 rooms where it's very, very vertical.
Yeah.
It's like there's like you can go up high and there's like grind rails,
I love
and then you go low and there's robots down there.
Yeah, that was great.
Those rooms I thought were really cool.
Exactly, that's what I really liked too.
They kind of remind me of like later like Sonic Generations kind of like levels design, and I just really like those areas a lot.
Yeah,
I didn't like all the stopping in these levels and clearing the enemies out, and I didn't like the elevators.
The elevators were my least favorite part, but I liked everything else.
I did like the Team Chaotix mission a little bit better. You just have to
the 3 turtles.
You just have to do the 3 turtles, and then it's 5 turtles in the alternate mission.
Yep.
So
that's not too bad.
No, it wasn't as bad in this one.
Yeah, I did write for the Chaotix mission that if you're playing it the way we played it, by the time you get to that, you can sort of anticipate where the gold turtles are going to be.
Yeah.
And that really helps you to do the mission faster, so I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
That if there were some way to not have to redo these levels 4 times but redo them twice, and the second time being the Chaotix with their missions, I think it would have been more fun to like be like, oh, I've played this level before, I kind of know what I'm looking for already, you know?
I agree. I know one of the criticisms leveled at this game is I got to play these levels 4 times.
Right.
It didn't feel too bad for me the way we did it, because we're doing this for a podcast, so it's like I got to sit there and kind of like
think about each
really
level,
get into each level anyway. So it wasn't too much of a hassle for me to like replay these a bunch of times. But I can imagine playing this casually. It's like, oh man, I gotta play this over and over.
Yeah.
Like there's very little difference between the playthroughs.
Yeah. Dark just has double the enemies and stuff, and then Rose has half of everything.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people just hate playing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But I kind of like in games when they give you the chance to, like, usually there's a reward for doing things over, I guess, you know, I don't know. So
yeah,
it just depends on your taste, I think, too.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to say this game's very linear.
Yeah.
There's very little in the way of alternate routes or anything.
Yeah.
But what little there is, I did get out of like playing as different characters, because I would find myself occasionally going down different paths.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's kind of fun.
Yeah. So that's what really kind of like really helped me for this, you know, recording, was because I was playing the level and going down different areas and you know, getting a feel for everything.
Yeah.
So, and then the boss fight, the team boss fight.
Battles.
I just spammed the tornado move, and
interesting.
That really works, and it just knocked them off.
I did the same. I did the power move with the power characters and did the three hit combo. Basically,
I tried different ways, and the one I had the most success with was
I'm gonna try that next time.
Was just spamming the tornado.
Yeah, I did write for the first battle versus Team Rose. I just wrote, I don't get it.
Oh, what? Because
you have to knock them off, and it's just very like confusing how you do that half the time.
I thought you were going to talk about the reasons why they fight, which is
no,
also
I'm not going to talk about
super
that.
Contrived.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you know.
Again, Amy just wants to beat up Sonic into marriage,
mm-hmm.
but Rouge just hates the Chaotix. That's literally the reason why they fight.
Yeah.
She's just like, who are these guys? They piss me off.
Yeah.
I just don't like the look at them.
I do like that. Dark and Chaotix. Rouge is the head of Team Dark, right?
Yeah, pretty much. She's like,
and
because Shadow's like he's got amnesia, so like she's kind of like
he's just following along.
He's just kind of doing what she wants to do.
Yeah, and then with the Chaotix, it's technically Vector, but it's really SPL. I just like the dynamics. It was funny seeing those two teams interact.
Yeah,
and I know it's a stupid reason for them to fight, but that one at least felt more real to me. I was like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Shadow's like, yeah, I'll just beat these guys up.
He's like, I don't care, whatever.
I don't know who these guys are, but I'll beat them up.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, you know what it was after he was playing Sonic Heroes, and he was like, man, these combat missions, these like team battle missions suck. I should get a gun, so the next time I have to fight somebody, I can just shoot them.
Yeah, that's the origin of the gun.
Yep.
Yeah. You do have to get an A rank in these. You do have to like beat him in 30 seconds.
Yeah, very quick.
Very easy to do.
I did do that with Team Rose, and I'm not sure if I misunderstood this or not. This might be this might have just happened. I think Sonic killed himself when I was fighting him.
Oh yeah,
And
the AI can just kind of like derp off the stage.
but then in the next, because you have to watch the introduction to the next level, so the casino stage. Amy's like grumbling, and then Cream is like, she was like, "Man, I can't believe
Why
Sonic
did he do that?
Yeah, why did he do that to get out of to get away?
Again, because I think that Sonic beat her up to get away.
Right. So, well, I thought it was the opposite. I thought Sonic literally jumped off a cliff to escape Amy. Like, I was like, is it programmed in the game that you automatically
commits
he's like,
suicide
no,
to get
I'm
away
done.
from Amy, yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
He just noped off the stage.
Yeah,
for
he's
it.
like, I'm out of here. It's not worth it.
Yeah, so I do think Cream had a line of dialogue where she was like give Chocolo and Froggy back. And I'm like, did Cream really think Sonic kidnapped them? Like,
She
did
might
she really
have.
think that little of Sonic?
Probably.
Oh.
He's been running away from Amy all this time. He won't face his his problems or whatever head on.
Do you know why Metal Sonic kidnapped Froggy and Chocolo?
No.
Okay, we'll get into it next time.
Okay.
Well, again, this boss fight is Sonic Zero. These are a step down from the Sonic Adventure 2 character fights,
Which is
by far.
I
like the Sonic
a very
Adventure 2
low bar to to crawl under.
Well, they're not the Sonic Adventure 2 character fights. Are not the greatest thing,
No.
but like
They were better than this.
they were still like
Which
fun.
I didn't think. At least those are quick. With this one, sometimes it feels
And
like it goes on. Yeah, and
straightforward.
straightforard. This one, you kind of get like, you're like, I don't know what I should do.
This is chaos.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
It's just everything is so much stuff is happening.
Yeah, I lost lives on these sometimes, and I just randomly I'd be playing as Vector, and then Omega would just stun lock me, and then I'd just fall off the cliff, and then I'd switch to Charmy, and he'd be already off the cliff, so he'd fall off the cliff too, and then I'd switch over to Espio, and then he fell off the cliff too, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I lost.
And did you find it very, very punishing whenever your character got stunned? Like they would just
Yes.
you would just get back up, back up.
No,
Like,
it takes 5 ever.
I know.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's very annoying.
Yep.
All right, I guess we rambled on long enough.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to continuing to play this. I've never beat this game.
Yeah. So same thing with Adventure 2. I went into this thinking, I wouldn't like this as much as I thought I would. I don't know if I like it more than Adventure 2.
Mhm.
I don't think I do.
Oh, I don't think I do yet. No,
But it's fine.
it's okay.
It's fine.
So
Like
far.
I was harsh on this game in the past, but I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really, really like this game,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen some people like this is their favorite 3D
right.
Sonic game. I never understood it, but I'm just like I could kind of see the appeal to it. I guess if you really, really like playing as all the other characters, this is the game for you.
Right.
Again, to me, I think this is my opinion. I think playing as the other characters doesn't mean a lot because
It's shallow.
they're all fundamentally like the same.
right.
you know,
I agree with that.
It's kind of like you just get 4 characters in a lot of ways because it's so similar. It's like you get one character.
Mhm.
One character with just a lot of abilities,
Right.
that you could switch through.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm more positive on it. I'm going to try to see how I like it at the end. We are my goal here for this year in our Year of Shadow is to see out of Heroes, Shadow, and 06, which deserves the crown of being the true Sonic Adventure 3. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we're off to a good start, I guess, so far.
You know what? Another thing I wanted to bring up is that this is an interesting time. As we're recording this, there's currently a rumor going around.
Oh, that's right.
That Sonic Heroes might get a remaster.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if that plays out.
Yeah, we'll see.
This game could, again, we talked about how Adventure 1 and 2 really could use a remake.
This one could too, I think.
I think this one could. I think it could benefit from some sort of.
I don't know if we mentioned, but it does get kind of slippery sometimes.
Yeah, I don't like how the characters feel in control.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
So I do think that if they were able to fix the physics a little bit, it would be a more fun game. Like you do feel kind of, and we'll definitely talk about this when we get into the special stages.
Do you want to talk about the special stages?
No,
a little
let's
bit?
save it for later.
I thought we were touching them.
No, that's fine. I just got them as matter of course playing the game.
Okay.
So we'll talk about them at the end.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to keep playing this game.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we'll continue this next time.
Yep. And I guess we should start reminding ourselves to say at the end, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Do the YouTube thing.
Do the YouTube things. And I do think it'd be cool if people start leaving comments and sharing their experiences or bringing up points. We could actually start talking about that on the show as well and saying, oh yes, so and so brought up a really good point. We hadn't thought about it that way. So that'd be a cool way to kind of have us engage and have a nice conversation about these games. So I think that'd be really cool if people were interested in doing that.
All right. Yeah, I agree. All right, guys. Until next time. See you later.
Gotta go fast.